Have you ever paused for a moment in the middle of an exhausting routine and quietly asked yourself, why does life always feel like it's never enough, even though I've done everything I was taught? You went to school, you followed the rules, you worked hard, you woke up early, came home late, delayed pleasure, and held yourself back. And yet somehow, money always feels fragile. It arrives briefly, then disappears. Slowly, without you realizing it, that question turns into an accusation. Maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe I'm not disciplined enough. Maybe I'm just bad with money. But what you were never told is this: there are major financial mistakes that were never taught in school. Not because you are stupid, not because you are lazy, but because from the very beginning you were taught how to become an obedient worker, not how to understand life and money. School taught you how to calculate, but it never taught you what it feels like to live under constant financial pressure. There was no lesson about how the mind reacts when the balance keeps shrinking. No curriculum about how fear slowly erodes your ability to think clearly. Stoicism understands one crucial truth. Humans do not live in an objective world, but in a perceived one. Two people with the same amount of money can live in completely different realities. One feels secure, the other feels suffocated. Not because the numbers are different, but because the inner pressure is different. The first financial mistake never taught in school is this: ignoring the role of emotion in every money decision. When someone lives with constant insecurity, every expense feels like a threat. Not because they are reckless, but because their mind is stuck in survival mode. And in survival mode, the brain is not designed for long-term thinking. It wants only one thing: to survive today. This is why many people fail to save before they even begin. Not because they don't know how, but because their minds are too exhausted to imagine a future. School never taught this. School assumed every student lived in stable conditions. But in reality, many people grew up in homes where every month was filled with anxiety. And when anxiety becomes routine, it turns into a way of life. Stoics do not blame people for this. They say, you cannot demand wisdom from a mind that is constantly afraid. If your life feels like endless running, it's not because you refuse to stop. It's because you're afraid of what will happen if you do. And perhaps all this time, your financial mistakes were never truly yours. They were the result of a system that taught numbers, but never taught the human being. But this is only the beginning, because the next mistake is far more subtle and far more dangerous. From an early age, we were taught one simple idea about money. Money is numbers. If it's not enough, you just need more. On paper, this logic looks correct, but life does not happen on paper. School taught us how to calculate money, but never taught us what it feels like to live under daily financial pressure. There was never a lesson about how the mind reacts when income barely covers survival. Never a discussion about how constant worry shrinks your mental space. Stoicism teaches us something uncomfortable. Humans do not make decisions in calm conditions. They decide under pressure. Two people earning the same amount can experience money in completely different ways. One can plan, the other can only react, not because of intelligence, but because of psychological load.
This is the first hidden financial mistake, believing that financial decisions are purely logical. When someone lives paycheck to paycheck, their brain is not broken, it is exhausted. Under constant pressure, the mind prioritizes relief over strategy, short-term comfort over long-term planning, not because the person is careless, but because survival mode does not allow spacious thinking. This is why advice like "just budget better" often feels insulting, because budgeting assumes you have mental breathing room. School never explained that stress is not a character flaw, it is a condition, and conditions shape behavior. Stoic philosophers understood this deeply. They never demanded discipline from a mind under siege. They first sought clarity. If your financial life feels chaotic, it may not be because you lack control, but because you were never taught how pressure distorts decision-making. And this misunderstanding leads directly to the next mistake, a mistake that keeps people working harder, longer, and with growing fear, yet never truly safe. From childhood, we were given a belief that sounded noble. If you work hard enough, everything will be fine. It was repeated like a promise, at school, at home, at work, and most people never questioned it. The problem is not that hard work is wrong. The problem is the belief that hard work automatically creates security. Stoicism never promised comfort as a reward for effort. It spoke instead of inner stability that comes from understanding reality. School trained us to be diligent, punctual, obedient, but it never taught us how to read risk, never taught us that the world can change without asking for our permission. Many people work relentlessly for years, yet live with the same quiet fear. Fear of getting sick, fear of losing a job, fear that one small disruption could undo everything. This is the second financial mistake never taught in school, placing your sense of safety on a single source of income. Not because people are foolish, but because loyalty to one path was framed as virtue. Yet the world does not reward loyalty, it rewards adaptability. Stoic thinkers constantly reminded us most things are outside our control. Health can disappear, jobs can vanish, economies can collapse. And when your entire financial life stands on one pillar, even a small shock can feel catastrophic, not because you are weak, but because the structure is fragile. School never taught us to ask a simple question: what happens if this stops tomorrow? This is not pessimism, it is clarity. Stoics did not calm themselves with hopeful illusions, they calmed themselves with preparation. And as long as people are taught that effort alone is enough, many will continue to live with silent anxiety. But this mistake, as damaging as it is, can still be repaired. The next one is more dangerous because it disguises itself as virtue.
Many people grow up with a value that sounds responsible. Endure now, things will get better later. It sounds mature, it sounds strong, it sounds noble. But Stoicism approaches this idea carefully, because not every sacrifice comes from wisdom. Many are born from fear. School never taught us how to distinguish between healthy sacrifice and destructive sacrifice. We were taught to suppress ourselves, delay ourselves, ignore ourselves, and we called it discipline. But often, it was simply the absence of choice. This is the third financial mistake never taught in school, treating exhaustion as a normal price of living. When a person lives under constant pressure, they slowly lose one essential thing: clarity. And without clarity, financial decisions are no longer conscious, they become reactive. Small expenses turn into emotional relief. Impulsive choices become brief escape, not because the person doesn't know better,
but because the mind is too tired to care. Stoicism does not glorify suffering. It does not worship pain. It asks a simple question: is this suffering necessary? If your life gives you no mental space to think clearly, then every financial decision is born from inner chaos. School never taught us that chronic exhaustion is the enemy of wisdom. It only taught us to endure. And when endurance becomes identity, people stop asking where their life is going. They just keep moving, without knowing why. Yet there is a deeper mistake still, one that is quiet, invisible, and deeply personal. There is a moment almost everyone has experienced, not at work, not at school, but alone, late at night, when everything is quiet and the mind begins to speak freely. If only I were smarter. If only I had chosen differently. If only I hadn't made that mistake. Slowly, you turn yourself into the main defendant of your own life. This is the fourth financial mistake never taught in school: believing financial struggle is always a personal failure. School taught a simple form of meritocracy. Those who work hard succeed. Those who don't must be lacking. Stoicism rejects this shallow conclusion. Stoic thinkers understood that life is a meeting point between effort and circumstance. You can do everything right and still be placed in a difficult arena, not because you are unworthy, but because not all fields offer equal chances. When systems are never discussed, people begin attacking themselves, and this is dangerous, because someone consumed by self-blame loses one vital thing: the ability to see clearly. They are too busy feeling shame to understand reality. Stoics never said the world is fair. They said the world is what it is. Your task is not to hate yourself, but to understand what is within your control and what is not. When you blame yourself for every financial shortcoming, you live in constant, quiet shame. And shame is the most fertile soil for poor financial decisions, not because you are weak, but because you live without compassion for yourself. And yet, there is one final mistake, the subtlest one, the one that decides everything.
There is one last lie that quietly lives in many minds: that to escape financial struggle, you must do something dramatic, radical, fast. Stoicism never believed in sudden transformation. It believed in clarity. The final financial mistake never taught in school is this: believing life will change when circumstances change, instead of when understanding changes. Stoics understood that money is not the source of calm. It is only a tool, and a tool held by a restless mind will never produce wisdom. That is why Stoics never begin with numbers. They begin with one simple question: what is truly within my control today? Not your salary, not prices, not the past, but how you speak to yourself, how you respond to pressure, how you stop punishing yourself for being human. Financial peace does not begin with a large savings account. It begins when panic ends, when the inner war around money finally quiets. Stoicism does not ask you to save aggressively. It asks you to stop living in fear. Because as long as the mind is suffocating, any amount of money will feel insufficient. But when the mind becomes calm, even small steps carry meaning. School never taught this, that life is not a race, that falling behind is not failure, and that your worth was never measured by a balance. If you are still struggling today, it is not proof of weakness. It is proof that you have been enduring in a world that is not always kind. And Stoicism asks no more than this. It simply says, do what you can control. Accept the rest without turning against yourself. If this video made you feel understood rather than judged, then you were never alone. And perhaps for the first time, money is no longer your enemy, but something you can face with clarity and calm.